Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the CZ Media Podcast. Before we get started, I want to remind everyone to follow us on your favorite podcasting app. I'm on all of them. I think, well, probably not all of them, but the main 5. And then I'm on YouTube, so subscribe to CZ Media Podcast on YouTube. I put shorts up there. I'm following what the cool kids are doing.
It's hard to do sometimes.
Yeah. And don't forget to check out our sponsors, Rancho Bravo Tacos. Have you been to Rancho Bravo Tacos on Capitol Hill?
No.
So they have 2 locations. One of them is on Capitol Hill, on Pine, 100 Pine, right across from Cal Anderson Park. Then their other location is on 45th in Wallingford. Great street Mexican food.
Oh, yum.
So super delicious. Yeah, give them a go. So today I have a fellow photographer.
Hi.
Ericka, hello. Thank
Hi.
you so much for being on. So I came across your profile, your website from a models Facebook group that I've been part of for a super long time. And then I was looking at your website and I thought, oh man, you are a super talented
Thank you.
photographer. And I like to talk to creative people. So I thought, you know what, let's give it a go and then ask her if she wants to be on. And you said yes.
Yay, I'm here.
So tell me a little bit about, let's get the origins of photographer Ericka.
Okay.
So let's, as a photographer, how did you know that, hey, I dig taking pictures. I like working with people.
Well, I was always that kid that wanted a camera for Christmas, for my birthdays, all of that. And my mom would get me like disposable cameras or little digital cameras. So like I've always kind of done it, but I always did it for myself. And, once I had my kids, I was a stay-at-home mom, but I would do photos for my friends' families and things like that. And so I kind of started there with just doing it on my own. And by the time my son was getting ready to go to kindergarten, I was like, okay, need to grow up and get a big girl job. I had a degree, but I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. And I had to have the flexibility of being able to pick my kids up from school, take them to doctor's appointments, all that kind of stuff that moms do. And so I wanted something with flexibility. And my friends really encouraged me to get into, to really evolve my photography. And at the time I had been mostly doing landscape photography. I was living in Alaska.
Oh, and perfect place to do landscape.
Oh yeah, and I loved it, and I was very passionate about it. It's one of those sources of photography that really fills my cup. So when I'm burnt out on anything else, going out and even taking pictures of flowers or something is it's perfect for me. But I kind of started doing it, part-time up in Alaska and really building my portfolio up there, because so the way it started was I was taking photos of myself. Boudoir style photos of myself, and I realized I was really good at it. I was legitimately good. And then I would have friends that would say, hey, can you do pictures for me too like that? And I was, yeah, sure, I can do that. And then their friends were like, hey, can you do pictures like that for me? And then I was like, okay. So I kind of started getting into it. I had never even thought about the genre of boudoir photography in any way, shape, or form prior to this, and so I kind of looked into it and realized that, I could actually make a living off of it. I thought it would be like part-time living. I didn't think I would start off like I did. I'll explain that. But, like I said, I built my portfolio while I was up in Alaska and built my website and built my contracts and did all of that. And then I came down here and I opened the doors. And when I opened the doors, it was like an avalanche coming in.
Nice.
It was nonstop. And I realized that I offered something a little bit different than a lot of the other photographers do, and not bashing anybody's style because, oh my God, there's some amazing photographers here. But I think because I'm self-taught, there was something about my photography that was a little bit different. I think I'm more face-focused. I think I'm more light-focused. I keep the colors real but vibrant. I don't turn people orange or gray. Like, that's not my style. I don't turn them into plastic. Yeah. So I kind of, I guess it feels more real but professional at the same time. And so when I opened my doors, it has been nonstop since then. And the first year was, not only doing my photography, but also learning how to run a business. Right. That was rough. So much better this year.
Different things.
They are very different things.
Actually, the photography is 3 different things. It is the act of taking a photo, which is fun.
Yes.
Then there's editing, which can sometimes be not fun.
I love editing.
Do you?
I do. I don't like culling the photos.
There we go.
Yeah, that's my least favorite part when I'm looking through 300 pictures and I'm like, but this one or this one, her face changed slightly. Is she going to like this one better or this one? And I have to kind of struggle and I'm like, okay, she's not going to know. Just pick one. Just pick one. Yeah, that's my least favorite part.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And well, I guess if you have a set and you want the set to have a similar tone,
yes,
then editing is probably not. Finding that initial tone is where the work is. Then the rest of it is just matching it.
Yeah. So with programs like Lightroom and things like that, you can set your presets,
right.
And so I know in this specific area, this preset works, and so this one, or this one, and so and then I move to this area, and I'm like, okay, when she's over here, this preset should work. And I'll have to do adjustments within that preset for each person for each day's lighting. Cause it's Seattle. We might have sunshine one day and we might have clouds the next.
Right.
So that affects it all, of course. Or maybe my lighting is slightly different or my settings on my camera are slightly different or something like that. So, I do have to adjust little bits within that. But once I get that first picture done, I can basically apply the same preset to everything and then do minor adjustments on each picture, and it makes it really quick.
It makes it quick and easy.
Yeah.
Then the third is the business side of it.
Yes.
Is actually getting paid.
Yes.
I had one of my really good friends. He wanted to hire me to do his billing because he was always shooting, but he was not getting paid. He was not invoicing. He was not asking for money. And then he just finally reached out and he goes, you know what? I have like 20 people who owe me money. And then luckily, he was in a different state, so it not the best scenario, but he ended up finally finding someone to help him. And then a few weeks later, he's like, I feel like I have so much money. It's like, well, no.
That's what happens when you get paid.
It's like that. Yeah. Bill bill quickly and hopefully you'll get paid. But the running of the business is the part where, in my experience talking to creatives, is not, the attention isn't always there.
Yes.
And we were just talking a little bit ago about, well, now it seems like the business side is heavily focused on marketing, which is heavily focused on all of these social platforms. And with photography, I guess you don't have to worry too much about like the back end of business, like which.
Yes, you do.
Well, it's as far as like opening up a retail store.
Oh, yes.
Like with having inventory and knowing what your margins are and what profitability is.
Definitely different. You have to know your return on investment on your marketing. Right. You have to know your business expenses and what your operating costs are, your business operating costs. So you have to know those things or learn those things in order to have a profitable business. And that's one of the things that I see with other photographers that I follow here or elsewhere. That's where their biggest failure is they are not charging what they're worth and they're getting burnt out on doing things for free, basically.
Well, it's not valuing your time.
Yeah. So when, for someone to walk into my studio, it's $500. And out of that $500, it's immediately half of that basically goes to my makeup artist. So she gets paid because we do provide hair and makeup for every client. Well, every client that wants it. Yes. But so half that money is gone there. Well, I also have a lingerie closet. So I have to keep that stocked. I have to keep it clean and sanitized and all of that. I have to make sure there's not tears or things like that, replacing items. I also, provide sanitization, of course, of all the sheets and everything that's touched in the studio, any bondage gear, the shower, anything like that. It has to all be sanitized.
Right.
I provide snacks. I provide drinks. Sometimes people want a Truly. Sometimes they just want water. Sometimes they want champagne or a mimosa, So I have to, I provide that kind of stuff. Well, then you also have, that's just the very front cost that you see.
Right.
Then you also have all your business operating costs. I have programs I pay for. I have websites I pay for. I have advertising I pay for. I've got power, sewer, water, trash, rent, and those are the things that, like, when you look at all that $500, I'm basically paying them to take their picture. It's gone. Like, that doesn't even include the time of editing. We haven't even talked about that part yet.
Right.
So that $500 is gone. And I know people that do photo shoots for $500 and then give all the digitals to their clients. And I'm like, at that point, you have literally paid them to do their photos.
Yeah. Well, what you're doing right now is that you're highlighting the differences in different types of photographers.
That's true.
So my experience with photographers is mostly people who go on site. Mm-hmm. like I have one buddy who he doesn't live off of it, but it's a pretty good chunk of his revenue is he does sports.
Okay.
High school sports. And he gets paid a couple different ways. He gets paid from the school, and then he gets paid from the student.
Okay.
For, whatever shots he wants to do. And then there's one other way, and then he licenses photos too.
Okay.
For whatever purposes. So he doesn't have those
same costs,
right? But it's
but it's still, he has transportation costs, he has insurance costs, he has
he has to
equipment.
He has to go to away games, which sometimes are long. So yeah, there's definitely cost to it. But what you're highlighting is that you do have the need to pay attention to those other business costs and business activities
and business insurance, which we didn't even talk about that.
Right.
There's all of those things, business licensing.
And so what's your degree in, if I may ask?
Business management and marketing.
Well, then there you go.
Well, the funny thing was, okay, so if anybody's ever gotten a bachelor's degree, especially, I don't know, the college I went to, I don't think I took one class on business management until the last 5 classes. You know what I mean? So you learn the basics, you learn religions of the world, and you learn all the prerequisites and statistics and things like that I never, use maybe in conversation, as an educated person, but I don't necessarily use them for my business.
Exactly. No, I'm on the same boat.
Yeah, exactly. So the business management aspect, though, my family owns a business, and my ex-in-laws own a business, and so I helped. Or not helped anything. I watched, I saw, I observed, how things were kind of run, the accounting aspects, the bookkeeping aspects, some of the marketing aspects. One of my first jobs besides military was the real estate book. And so if you're familiar with it, it's a digest-sized magazine of homes for sale. And they're all over the country, or they were. I don't know the history of them now, if they even still exist. But at that time, I was a marketing manager for them. So I sold the pages, I helped design the pages, did things like that. I didn't actually put it together on the computer. I drew it out on a piece of paper and handed it to our designers.
Right.
But, doing that and seeing that backside of the business and billing people and doing collections and all of that, I think all of that helped me to be able to do what I do now.
Oh, yeah, of course.
So,
there's I was talking to a young cousin that I have. She's still she's still a teenager, and just talking about what she wanted to do, and did she want to go to school or, on the job training at whatever. And I said, have you considered business classes? And then she said, no. She goes, a lot of kids right now are bad mouthing business classes for college because they say you don't really need college to run a business. And then I chuckled because that's exactly social media influencer talk right there, that you don't need it. And it's hard to, my wife did a far better job. And it's correct. You don't need it.
No,
but
you don't need a degree to do photography. You don't need a degree to make shoes. You don't need a degree to do anything. Except, be a doctor or a lawyer, licensed things. Yes. But I mean, trade type stuff, you don't need a degree, but are they helpful? Sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's what we're trying to explain to her. It's it's not like you're going to go to college to learn how to run X business.
Yeah.
It's you go to college so that and I was listening to, one of these, he's a psychologist. What do you call a psychologist who's more than a psychologist?
Psychiatrist?
Yeah, he's one of these types of guys. And he was saying that the importance of just going to college is to learn how to think and write.
Yes.
And those are the main takeaways from a 4-year degree, is being able to see a problem, think about it, and then be able to write.
So I heard once that you getting a degree in basically anything, your bachelor's degree in anything, most businesses don't actually care what your degree is in as long as you have a degree, because what it shows them is that you're teachable.
Yeah.
It shows them that you can be dedicated to finish something and that you are teachable for them to be able to teach you what they need to do for your business.
Right.
So
even that, there's a huge backlash right now on that type of thinking. And it is with the group of people who say you don't need college, that you can just, the word hustle and the word grind and the word, like all of these little catchphrases. But there's from what I've heard, there's a lot of talk about you don't need X, Y, or Z, but there's very little talk of how to actually implement, how to plan, how to reach a goal, how to have a vision in mind for, whether it can be a marketing campaign or whether it can be a launch of a product, to have a vision in mind and then be able to identify what exactly how you want it to go and then make it happen. Like there's very little.
Yeah, they're saying you don't need this and you don't need that, but okay, well, how do I do it?
Exactly. Like you still need to know how to do it.
Yeah.
And there's that whenever I hear any of these types of business influencers that say that, like another one, sometimes I get into this black hole of, it used to be the YouTube black hole, but now it's just the Instagram black hole, where they say, all right, this is what you do. You start an LLC, you go to the bank, you get a loan, then you go and you get a credit card, and then you'll have whatever, $100,000 of capital.
How are you going to pay it back? Okay. Oh my goodness.
It's like there is no talk about sales. There is no talk about generating a profit. There is no talk about anything else.
Yeah,
it's like automatically get an LLC, get a credit card, get a loan.
So going like full circle on that, like going back to marketing, like I said, that's part of what my background is. I'm really good at marketing also, I think, which is why when I opened my doors, I was able to just have an explosion of people.
Yeah.
But like that, they don't teach you how to market. They don't teach you how to know what marketing is good, what's worth it. Like, I'm sure that you probably get the same thing on Instagram where you get all these people that are like, oh, advertise with us. We'll get you 25,000 likes. And
right.
No, you're not, because it's all bots.
It's all fake.
But the thing is people fall for that.
I know.
Which is how those businesses stay stay in business and,
right.
all of that. So, okay, great. I have $100,000. Well, what do I do with it? Right. Yeah. Like, okay, you're going to make t-shirts. Great. Where are you going to put them? How are you going to sell them? You're going to sit on the street corner? Or are you going to put them online? Like,
and I would say that $100,000 is not really going to get you too far unless you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Except in debt, where then you are worrying about paying for it.
Yeah.
Paying it back. Yeah, that is the really frustrating thing when I, get into that business. When the business algorithm gets me, it's like, oh, there's a bunch of people who don't have any idea what they're talking about. I started a sneaker cleaner brand called The Sneakers Friend.
Okay.
And then to do that, I did start an LLC, and then I documented the process. It's like I put links to everywhere you needed to go for the LLC, to the tax number, to registering with the state. And I shared that with a few people, and one of them told me that they had paid a company $1,700 so that they could do that for them. And then the guy goes, if I had just followed these steps, I would have been able to just start an LLC and get my tax number and get a business license
for ultimately for free.
It's like, yeah, pretty much. And it's like, man, $1,700. And yeah, these companies are charging that. Mm-hmm. That LegalZoom, I think, is probably, I don't know if they're $1,700, but they charge a nice buck to do that.
So I get their aspect on it too. Like there's an aspect of my business I hate: bookkeeping. I don't like it. It is my least favorite thing, and I pay a bookkeeper. I pay her to consolidate everything. I pay her to make sure the taxes are all right. I pay her to do all of that kind of stuff. And to me, it's absolutely worth it. Could I do it myself? Yes.
Yeah.
Will I? Probably not as good as her, and is it worth it for that amount of time that I'm not going to spend doing it?
Right.
Yes. Absolutely worth paying her.
Yeah.
So taxes. How many people do their own taxes versus pay an accountant to do their taxes? Like that's one of those things where to me, it's worth it to pay someone else to deal with it. I don't want to deal with the headache of it. I just want to hand you all the stuff and be like, here you go. Put it together and file it for me.
Yeah.
Does that look correct? Sure, I'll sign it. Like, so I get it. Like even on your buddy's aspect, yes, he could have followed the steps, but would he?
Well, no.
Okay. So yeah, so paying the $1,700 was worth it if his business came out on top and legal and profitable and all of that. Then,
you know, I would chalk it up to someone who doesn't research this process and do it themselves. I think there's an even bigger problem where they're just not problem solvers, because none of that process is complicated. No. I mean, you have to, you know, weave through some legalese, but you can easily Google what the meaning of these words are if you aren't clear on these things. So it's like,
okay, but hold on. We can relate that to something else we do. Photography. You can take a picture on your cell phone.
Yeah.
So why hire me? Like, I could literally prop my cell phone up over there, take my picture, and call it good. And there's my boudoir photos. Or you can hire somebody that does all the other back end stuff. So, I mean, so it's kind of still the same thing where you could do it yourself, or you can hire a professional to do it because you don't necessarily have the skills, talent, background to be able to do that.
Agreed. Although, like you don't. Here's the thing. My work experience started when I was super young in a factory, and I had a boss who told me that at a really young age, I was like 16 or 17. He told me that every place I go, that I need to work myself out of whatever job I'm doing. And then I just looked at him and I said, "How do you do that?" And I said, "Well, you learn what you're doing, and then you start learning other stuff. And then if you have a quality manager that will identify that you can learn new things and take on more responsibility, if he is a good manager, then you will be rewarded." So what I took that to mean is like, yes, if you're a business owner, you don't have to be an expert bookkeeper. You don't have to be an expert anything, but you sort of have to know how to do it.
You have to have the basics.
You have to know the basics, so that when someone comes along and says, "Hey, let me do this for you," then you can then say, "Okay, I have the basic gist of how to do whatever it is."
Yes.
And then that person just won't take advantage of you. I mean, how many people get taken advantage of because they don't know the basics of whatever it is? Like, you have to, be, the saying is, a jack of all trades
is a master of none.
But what's the rest of that saying?
I don't know.
Far better than a master of none.
Of one. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Jack of all trades is a master of none, but far better than a master of one. So
yes.
That's so funny because it's like people just remember that first part, but it's like you still have to, dip your toes into every aspect of your business. And it's so funny. We're having this really interesting business conversation, and it is centered around taking pictures. I find that really
well, there's so much of what I do that I couldn't do without knowing the business aspect of it. So, and I mean, like I said, I watch other photographers who just do it for fun, or they are really good. God, there's some that are really good and they're just not charging their worth, but they also don't know the business side of it. And so to me, they get burnout and they, lose so much of it because they don't know the rest.
Right.
They're losing out on that.
How long have you been here in the Seattle area?
I've been here 2.5 years.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, it's Strawberry Boudoir.
Yep. Strawberry Boudoir Photography.
We'll do a little intro at the beginning to get that out there. And then it'll be about right there too.
Perfect.
So that's a great name, Strawberry.
So that actually came my nickname up in Alaska. Like, people didn't even know my real name. They all knew me as Strawberry or Berry everywhere I went. And so when I went to go name my business, originally I had my landscape, corporate photography, all of that business. That was Earthly Desires Photography. And then I was like, I can't have somebody who's looking for family photos also looking at boudoir photos and vice versa. So I was like, I need to separate them. I need to put under two different names. And I went with Strawberry Boudoir Photography. And what's been really cool about it is every single one of my clients gets a photo with a strawberry. So that has been kind of my little trademark knack.
I saw one with the whip.
Yeah, so there's a bunch. I mean, all of my clients. I think I've missed like 3 clients over the years of not getting their strawberry picture just because we got into everything else and it just went past me and I forgot about it. But yeah, they all have photos of it. And people pick their strawberry pictures so often. And when I first started, I never thought much about it, but strawberries are sensual.
Yeah.
And eating things is sensual. Food is sensual. So seeing that, and I mean, every time I have a partner come in to do a reveal with their, so if client A, Lindsay, comes in and her, husband comes in to see the photos, he almost always picks one of the strawberry pictures as one of his absolute favorites, and even the clients themselves do, but it's interesting. The partners almost always pick one of the strawberries.
Nice.
Yeah.
You said so. I know now you have red hair, so the strawberry came in.
Yeah.
Would you have preferred a strawberry nickname or cinnamon?
I don't know. The only nickname I ever had that had to do with my hair color was strawberry.
With strawberry.
But what's funny that you say that is I always joke around like, you have salt and pepper hair. I'll never have salt and pepper hair. I'll be cinnamon and sugar. That's what I say.
In Spanish, if you're a Mexican and you have red hair, they call you cinnamon.
Oh, okay.
And the best boxer of a few generations, he's really, really light skinned and red hair. His nickname is Canelo.
Okay.
Which is the male version of it's the word cinnamon, but
the male version
the male version of it.
Yeah.
That's funny. So, we've mentioned boudoir a couple times. Tell the listeners what that is exactly.
So Boudoir Photography is ultimately it's photography of a client, I guess, feeling sexy and sensual and beautiful within themselves. So you can look at it a couple of ways. I look at it as I get to watch women fall in love with themselves in the most raw, natural forms, and also looking and feeling sexy and amazing. And it's kind of hard to like envelop it all into one thought because there's so many thoughts on it. Some people are like, oh, it's just, it's like porn or whatever. And it's like, no, it's not. It's so much more than that. It is showing a woman that they are beautiful just the way they are, and down to their sexiest little underwear or, even in a t-shirt or naked between the sheets or whatever the case may be, however they present themselves to me and whatever their comfort levels are, they get to feel and look amazing and beautiful and sexy the way they are.
That is
with a little extra hair and makeup.
Have you ever had a client say, I want to book, but I need to lose 10, 15 pounds?
Always. I literally had one this morning. I had one this morning. She said, when I get back in shape, I'm going to fly up there and book with you, and do a photo shoot with you. And, I will tell you, I'm at my heaviest right now that I've been in like 5 years. And I just did my own photo shoot like 2 months ago. Absolutely worth it. I love all the photos. Am I comfortable with the way I am right now? Yes, because I love myself. But at the same time, I know I'm squishier than I, normally am. And so I'm like, oh, gross. I look at myself sometimes and I'm like, oh, this is so disappointing. But at the same time, it's where I am now.
Yeah.
And so I tell people all the time, I'm like, you're not going to see that 10, 15 pounds in the camera. You're not.
Right.
You're not. I am really good at my posing, my angles, and my lighting so that you're not going to see that.
And getting trust for that is, you might find it easy, but it's kind of hard. Maybe because I'm a guy. And the boudoir shoots that I have done, the building that trust to say, trust me.
Yes.
This is what this light is for. This is why this is when I tell you to arch your back, like your life depended on it. Like there is a reason. There is a reason for that.
Yeah.
But luckily when I show the photos, it's so that look on a client's face,
it's so empowering, isn't it?
Just loosen up. They just relax and then just trust the process.
This is part of trust the process. So this is part of one of my favorite things when I'm doing photography. And I've had clients come in who, are models. I've had clients that come in are super confident, in their body and their abilities, whether they are a size 0 or a size 6X, it doesn't matter. I've had every gamut. I literally had a client about the one that you saw, the post that you saw. She came into my studio in tears, shaking, so nervous, so anxious, so scared. She was probably one of the most anxious and nervous clients I've ever had to date. Ever. And you saw her pictures.
Yeah, they were great.
They were great.
So right off the bat, it was a nerve-wracking experience for her at the start.
So I always say it's like watching a flower bloom, though. So they all kind of come in a little bit tight. Even the most confident ones, they all come in a little bit tight and a little bit like, I'm not sure what's happening here, and I'm not sure if I'm really comfortable. And then they kind of start to bloom just that little bit, and they see their hair and makeup, and it's like a little burst of bloom. And then we get in the studio and have them in their lingerie and take a few pictures, and I turn that camera around. And that flower opens up even more. And I keep turning that camera around and showing them the whole time through. So they get to keep seeing themselves. And all of a sudden, by the time they're, partway through their shoot, and every girl opens up at a different point. Some of them are 5 minutes in, some of them are 50 minutes in. At that point, I'm like, can we redo the whole first part? Like now there's this badass bitch in front of me that's like ready to do it. But they all open up, every single one of them. And it is the most the most pleasurable thing to see.
Well, it's like instant gratification on our end.
Oh yeah.
And then it's reassurance on their end that we're telling them the truth.
Yes.
And so in my experience, I found it a lot easier to photograph women than it is men because men don't trust me. Okay. I've done shoots with guys where, and it's not boudoir.
Male boudoir. It's not called boudoir. That's a very negative connotation on it because it is because most of the time if you look up boudoir, it's going to be some heavyset dude in a pair of overalls pouring beer on himself or in a bath of bacon or something where it's funny. So which is fine. There's definitely a market for that, for the funny, goofy side of it and still feeling good about yourself. But at the same time, why is it that you have to be goofy to be sexy also?
Oh, okay. I'm separated from the new terms in
so it's just male boudoir.
Male boudoir. Okay. It used to be called just boudoir.
I know, but someone kind of educated me on that and I was like, okay, I get that.
All right. That's fair enough.
Yeah.
No, so these shots are just like fashion, our lifestyle outside. And then I'll show them the back from a picture that I really liked, and they're like, "No, I don't like the way my head is
angled,
and like, no, my left shoelace doesn't look right." I'm like, "Oh my goodness!" So, I really, if I get a guy asking me to get some shots, I really, really have to think about it because they are such a pain. I don't enjoy it.
So I have a whole different aspect with guys. Okay, so I have the whole gamut with guys, as you can imagine, being a boudoir photographer, and I'm sure you've seen my website, that I get guys that are serious about it. They want to do photos. They want to feel amazing about themselves. They want a gift for their wife, their girlfriend, their partner, their boyfriend, whatever the case may be. Mm-hmm. And those ones are a pleasure to work with, and they're amazing. I'm very clear about my guidelines from the very first moment we talk on the phone to when they're in my studio. I'm like, look, I do not touch men from neck to knees. I will not touch you at all when there's any clothes off. I will adjust clothing while they are on. That is it. I'm very clear about that because I have to be. Because I also get the other side where I get a guy that's like, oh, well, what happens if I get hard? I'm like, well, that's normal. That can happen. You're having underwear on and off or things like that. Like, I get it. That's not a problem. Oh, well, will you help? And you're blocked. Yes. I get all of those questions.
That is something else.
Yeah. So I get that a lot. A lot.
Oh, my God.
So for me, the males that do work with me, trust me, I trust them. I always meet them ahead of time. I actually met one last night. I'll meet them at a bar or a coffee shop or Target or wherever the case may be so that I'm comfortable with them since they're coming into my home and into my studio so that I know they're not some sort of creepy weirdo. They don't give me the wrong vibes from the get-go. If that was the case, I would cancel everything right then and there. We're not going to work together.
Have you had to cancel?
I have.
Well, yeah.
I have. And I gave them, and I gave them another photographer's name. I'm like, I'm sorry, I just don't have any availability for you. Here's a guy that might be able to help you. And I'll refer them to a man. I'm like, nope, you just gave me the wrong vibes. It's not cool. Because I'm not in this to help them.
That is, I've never heard of that before.
Oh, yeah.
That is.
All the time.
Guys are something. Guys are.
Oh, girls too. I get some really random ones from girls too. So not quite as many, but I get a few that are like, I don't know. Sometimes I don't know if they're actually girls. Sometimes I think they're guys posing to be girls because, that happens too. It's the internet. They can do anything they want. But I'll get like questions like, oh, me and my partner would like to, handcuff each other. Would that be a problem? No, that's fine. You can do that. I have cuffs, or you can bring in your own, safety and all of that is priority, of course, so I'm like, okay, that's fine. We can do all of that. And then that'll be like, well, will you cuff us? Well, I can cuff you if I need to, but I usually let you guys do that. That's kind of part of the photos. We can take pictures of it, whatever. Well, will you cuff both of us? And I'm like, well, what are you doing for photos? Like that, if you're both cuffed, and then they're like, will you join? No, that's not what I do.
That is funny. Do you have anyone? So hair and makeup. So do you have more people on set when you take these types of photos?
With specifically men, women, both. It depends. I've had, my hair and makeup artist is amazing. Her name's Kaylee, and she was going to be here today, but she had to work. She has a different job. She is also works at Ulta. Of course, hair and makeup, right? No, she's absolutely incredible. She has the best personality and everything. And so there's been a few times with male shoots that I've had her like where I just there was one guy I did not meet ahead of time, and I was like, hey, can you be here? That would make me feel more comfortable. Now she's like 5'2", and this tiny little thing, like she's gonna do anything. I wasn't really worried about that. It's just more of the aspect of there's a second person.
Yeah. This is kind of like a doctor needing a nurse in the room.
Yeah.
When they're like that type of.
It kind of is, and so there's been a few times where I've had her there during photo shoots just to be sure, but other than that, most of the time, no, because like I said, I get to the point where I meet them. I mean, the guy last night, I sat and talked to him for, I don't know, maybe 45 minutes over a beer. And then it was like, okay, peace out. I'll see you later,
What did he, if you can.
What's that?
If you can say. What was he looking to do? He
wants to get professional photos to up his dating game for like Bumble and Tinder and things like that. So he wants some professional photos. He doesn't even necessarily want like nude, maybe with his shirt off or something like that. But that's about as far as he wants to go, and then that's fine. He just really wants to up his dating game. I'm like, okay, 23-year-old kid, nice, moved here a couple years ago and just has a hard time getting. Not a hard time. I mean, but it's, as he explained to me, he's like, dating apps are 80% male, 20% female. So you're really fighting for that attention of those few females that are on there. He's like, so I want to up my game. I'm like, okay.
Oh, there's so much sociological, is that the word? Conversations about things like that.
Oh, yeah.
About how all of the, 10 men are competing for the attention of one woman.
Yeah.
I'm glad I don't have to. My wife and I have been together for 20 years now, just about 20 years.
Oh, nice.
Like, I can't even imagine.
I couldn't imagine.
That is
like
bonkers.
Trying to go out and date and do all of that stuff right now. No way.
Ugh. It's like, it's too much work. No. So yeah, that's, and do you market that type of service? Like, hey,
I hadn't marketed like to males specifically for that. I may actually after this, I may come up with like a special package pricing or something specifically for that. But as of right now, I've not done anything like that because I haven't had to. I mean,
who's the bulk of your clients? Women,
and couples,
and it's boudoir stuff.
Yes,
boudoir photos.
Yes, and 90% of it's done, if not more, in the studio. So, which is the lower half of my house. So it makes it easy. I work from home. My commute's like 14 stairs.
You have all of those photos on your website, those sets look amazing. Those sets look really good.
It's a lot of fun.
So yeah, you get to decorate a ton.
I do. You should see the upstairs of my house. It's all white walls. There's not even a picture hung. It's bad. It's bad. But the downstairs is gorgeous.
All the attention goes downstairs.
It really does. I'm bad about it.
But. I'm going to have to ask you for your opinion on how to maximize this space down here.
Depends on what your goal is with it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that's the hard part. You got to figure out what your goal is with it.
I don't know. My style has changed, I think, a couple times over the last 10 years. in my old studio, I could do full body. I could stand, I had a lot of space and big ceiling, so I could do a 3 light setup and it could look good. But I can't do that here. So I did a lot of black and white, like dramatic-y type of stuff.
Yeah.
Trying to be artsy, I guess. And then it went to just face. Like, I really like pictures of the face.
Oh, I do too.
Like eyes.
Mm-hmm. So that's one of my favorite things, like being able to see everybody's eyes. And I think that's one reason why I say I'm a very face-focused photographer. I really love to see people's eyes and their face and their smile and, just soft touch on their face where they're just drawing that attention right there, you know. And they may be in lingerie, but your focus is their face.
Yeah. Yeah, I dig that.
Yeah.
A little bit is because it's easy. It's easier than figuring out where the rest of their body is going to be.
Oh, no, the rest of their body is very important in what I do.
Well, yeah, I'm lazy.
Oh, I'm even like, nope, point your toes. Even though my face or their face is my absolute focus in that picture, I'm like, point your toes. Okay, move that hand. Oh. You look like you have an amputated arm. Like, move your arm. Like, nope, do this. Push the boobs together. The whole thing, and it still may be very.
I'm gonna listen to this again and then say, all right, I need to pay more attention.
So that was actually something I had to learn in doing this. I would take the pictures and I was so focused on one thing in the picture that I left everything in the background. Like, the background was a mess, or their feet looked weird, or they looked like they had no toes, or their arm was missing. Right. And so in doing the edits and doing the reveals, which, the in-person sales with the people basically, but showing them their edited pictures, I was like, oh, I could have done better there, or in the edits, oh my gosh, I would look and I'd be like, why is that strap twisted? I wish I would have fixed her hair. I wish that flyaway wasn't there. So that is all something I look at before even grabbing my camera. I get them down in their complete pose. Like, I actually pose all the poses for my clients first. So I show them, I'm like, this is what I'm looking for. Here's where I'm going to stand to photograph you so you can see what I'm looking for. So I get down, I pose all the poses first. So if I'm going to do if they're going to do a back arch, I'm going to do a back arch. And I'm going to show them how it is, how to do it, where I want their arms, why I want their arms there. And then once they get down into that position, then I adjust everything else. I adjust their feet. I adjust their legs and make sure that, they don't look like they have vacation hot dog legs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I, adjust that. I make sure their hands look right. They're not tense and they're not, fists or soft hands. Soft touches. So yeah, all of that kind of stuff. I call it Barbie toes. So we Barbie toes. Yep. We have soft hands. We have, tits pressed up nice and high, so they're perky in all of the right ways. And if they're bigger chested, I know how to make it look like they're not falling off to the sides, because that's a thing.
That's important.
It is important. Yeah. Like, nobody wants a picture of their boob in their armpit. I'm sorry, they just don't. Well,
at least you don't want to pay a considerable investment for that.
Exactly. And this is an investment for these people. But their hair, of course. All of that kind of stuff. I lay it out, and I always look at the background, and I'm like, oh, that plant needs to be moved, or there's something on the floor right here, because I don't want to edit it in every single picture. I don't want to edit that there's a twig on my floor in every single picture. I'm not doing it. I will move it first. I have learned my lessons.
One thing that I've noticed lately, even in just watching YouTube videos, is that who's ever in the video, if they're wearing a black shirt or a dark colored shirt, they didn't take 2 seconds to lint roll. Mm-hmm. And they have, whether it be dandruff or whether it just whatever it is, but they have all of these white specks all over their shirt, and it drives me nuts. Mm-hmm. It's like, you're talking, like, lately I've been on this watch kick, watching videos about Rolexes and APs, and it's like, you're talking to me about a $100,000 watch,
and you look like you didn't do your laundry.
You look like you didn't care to, So yeah, lint roller is for sure on any shoot that I do. Speaking of that,
I have my lint roller, but my big thing is wrinkles. I have to de-wrinkle all my sheets because I use all satin sheets. So I like soft wrinkles in it, not the foldy wrinkles.
Well, that must be I
have a dryer in the basement.
In the thing,
yeah.
So 10 minutes in there and they come out. Do you have to do that?
Downy wrinkle release. I do it while they're getting their hair and makeup done. I kind of look at them and I'm like, okay, what color sheets am I going to use with them? Because certain colors are going to wash people out. I would not put you on blush rose sheets. It may be a pretty color
Definitely
on
not
you,
blush.
but as a guy, I wouldn't do that. For you, I'd probably pick like a royal blue or an emerald green or silver.
Picturing me in one of these male boudoir photos,
I'm just looking at your coloring but yeah, that's, so I pick the color while they're getting their hair and makeup done. I kind of look at what they came in and color wise for what they have on, and what color scheme is going to kind of work best with their skin and really make them pop on there. And so then I make sure to go put those sheets in the dryer and
man, your attention to
them.
detail is out of this world.
Oh, well, thank you.
That's good.
As long as it's not on myself, I'm good.
No, have you seen the documentary on Netflix about Bill Gates and all of the investments he's been doing all over the world?
I have not.
So he did this documentary.
Watch TV.
Yeah, that's a good thing. He did this documentary, and this is when he was still married. But for some reason, they might have been fighting because I don't think they were in any scenes together. They were being interviewed separately. I don't remember them being in the same room. Well, anyway, so Melina, is that her name?
Yeah, I think so.
Melina was wearing a silk blouse. Total sweat pit stains.
Oh my gosh.
For the whole thing. And I looked at it and I just turned to Lori and I said, "Are you telling me that there is no one on this set
that noticed that and said something to her or changed her shirt?"
I kind of think that they did see it. They just didn't have the balls to tell her that she needed to change or maybe put on some deodorant. Well, no change because it was wet. Like it was full on.
I mean, like I've done photo shoots like that, and like my like I said, Kaylee, she'll kind of stay and she'll do behind the scenes stuff every once in a while for videos, and I'll look at one and I'm like, I'm not using that because the same reason. It's like I'm working down there and I keep it warm for my clients who are in lingerie. Well, I'm sweating, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, and so like I'll see it and I'm like, okay, we're just not going to use that video or we'll crop it right here.
Hey, we have that in common. I sweat too when I take pictures.
I don't know. It's work. It's work.
And it's like mental work. I sweat even when it's mental work.
It is. So it's kind of funny that you say that, like, obviously I shoot boudoir, I shoot couples, I shoot men, but one of the things I shoot that I get asked about a lot is I shoot erotic photo shoots, especially with couples specifically. So they'll come in and they're enjoying their time and all of that. And I get asked the question all the time, like, isn't it really hot? Like, doesn't it turn you on? And I'm like, no, I'm working. Like, I don't think you understand the aspect of this. I am working. I'm looking at the lighting. I'm like, okay, is this the right angle for this? Okay, nope, I need to move here. And then I look at the lighting and I make them stop. I direct them. I'm like, okay, stop, lift up a little more, lift up. Okay, right there. Hold it. I get my picture. I get back out, let them kind of do their thing. But like, it's all work to me.
Right.
I'm looking at two bodies. I don't care what they're doing. I am looking at two bodies and lighting and angles and camera settings. And
so run that process down for us. A couple comes to you. It's like, Ericka, we want some erotic photos taking of ourselves. What do you say?
So it is one of the things I offer. Like I said, I did change my pricing structure a little bit for that specifically. So they kind of see it ahead of time, but I go ahead and charge what my album price is for the photo shoot itself. So it's a much higher cost just to even get into it. So I know they're serious. I know they're not just exhibitionists trying to get off on me taking pictures and then they're going to walk out my door because, like I said before, if I take their pictures on just the session fee, I have now paid them to do pictures.
Yeah.
So that has made it so it's only serious inquiries, which is really nice. But what happens is they message me and they're like, hey, do you do this type of photography? I'm like, absolutely. Let's talk about it. We talk about different comfort levels and we talk about consent, obviously. I'm like, it has to be consensual parties. And most of the time it's husband and wife. I've had boyfriend and girlfriend, things like that too. I've had questions about other things, like, can I bring in two girls? I'm like, sure, whatever. I've done two males, I've done two females, I've done the whole thing. But anyway, so we talk about it ahead of time. And it's, like, okay, so this is kind of how the process goes. While she's getting her hair and makeup done, I'll bring you into the studio as a male or the partner or whatever and do some photos with you specifically that will be a surprise for her in the end in the reveal, and get some nice photos of them. Men don't often have professional photos taken anyway, so we're just going to use male-female couple as an example here. So anyway, I'll take the male into the studio, do a couple of pictures of them where they look classy, they look sexy, they look handsome, they look all of that. They might get some like teasy pictures, but nothing even below the waist at that point. Like I won't do it without their wife or whatever in there. I'm not pushing those buttons. So and they also know the same rules. I don't touch men neck to knees. It's not going to happen. But anyway, so we do theirs while she's getting her hair and makeup done, and then we end up bringing her in, and they get to see each other, whatever. She's all dolled up, and so I'll pose them in certain ways, specifically more coupled boudoir ways where it's not as erotic, it's more sensual, it's more beautiful, it's more their connection, get some laughs going. And then I'll have her do something like lick your way down his chest, grab his boxers with your teeth, that kind of stuff where it's kind of the start of the tease. And then I'm like, okay, change positions. So I basically make them tease each other for probably a solid hour first. And then I'm like, and then I just kind of set them free. Well, because I can get all those photos done without everything else going on, because once that stuff starts to go on, hair and makeup's gonna get messed up. You know what I mean? So like I kind of have to, I pose it all in there first.
Yeah, the staging needs to be done first.
Yes, I get the staging done, and then I'm like, okay, have fun. I'll jump in and take pictures here and there. But I usually kind of keep my distance. I don't want to interrupt things. I want to be able to not record like video, but like record their time together, but in a trying not to be in an interrupting type of way. Now I will get, depending on the shots they want, because they'll specifically tell me a lot of times. They're like, look, I specifically want a shot doggy style where I'm looking down and I want to see the entry and all, okay, cool. I got you. So I get right over his shoulder and I've got the camera angled there and I'm like taking pictures and I'm like, okay, back up a little, I get right there and take the pictures and then I step back, because I also know that a lot of men aren't going to stay hard for that whole process of the interruptions.
That was going to be my next question, is once they actually start having sex, do you give direction? And
I do.
You say like move,
I do. I'll make them change positions. I'm like, okay, we have enough in this position. Let's swap, put her on top, or, move to doggy style, or do you guys want to go over to the chair, or, whatever, so that we have a variety. So it's not just all the same picture over and over. If it's, we'll say missionary, if they're just going missionary, I can only do so many angles to get any pictures there. So I'm like, nope, swap, so I'll have them swap out. And
that can be, I'm trying to envision if I were to do that. Like I'm kind of big. And that would be
in their presence. I'm big. I'm 6'3". I'm not a little person. I get right up in there and I take my picture and I get back out.
And the conclusion. Mm-hmm. So,
I would say a little more than half the time there's a finish, and when there is, I'm like, that's discussed ahead of time usually too. Like, where do you want to, if this comes to conclusion, where do you want that to be so that I can take pictures? Are you going to stay inside? Are you going to go on her tummy? Are you going to go on her chest? Like, what do you want? So we discuss that ahead of time. And so it's usually pretty obvious when it's about to happen. I mean, so I prep for it, get them in the right position or whatever. And then,
Actually, I'm impressed with myself right now that I have not asked you just completely childish questions.
You can ask whatever you want.
But I will ask this question. It's like, how far away are you? Because what if
fluids?
What if you catch?
Well, I mean, shrapnel? Usually I'm not in that angle. I won't be at that angle. I'm off to the side a little, where it's like, unless it's going, out the sides.
Are you like the front row of a Gallagher show where it's just full of like face mask and plastic poncho?
You would think so, but no, I haven't had to do that yet. So. No, I think I've been lucky in keeping my aim. I mean, you can't be right in front of it when it happens anyway. You're not going to get any pictures of anything. So you have to be off to the side to get the lighting right and everything anyway. So it works.
Has anyone said, like, I want a dramatic shot, like at a super high shutter speed where it's just like...
I don't even know that would do that. That would be really, I mean, I've gotten pictures of like drips or things like that, but like, yeah, no, usually it's okay, going into it, if they want it to be where it's shown. I have like one client, they finished on her chest and she was on her knees. And so, we got to the point where we were about to finish. We got her on her knees. He's helping himself along there a little bit. She's helping him along a little bit, and then she's in front of my window. So it's all lit up, backlit. So very sexy, very beautiful, very classy shot, where it's just her profile, with that. Now, if you didn't know what that was, you wouldn't know. Maybe it looks like honey, you wouldn't necessarily know. She knows. So,
what do these couples do with these photos?
They keep them in albums.
They keep them in albums. I don't know. Called me.
Digital and albums. So, I don't have one here. Like, that's just a sample album of my work. There's nothing like that in there, but.
Anytime a photographer talks about an album, like, you're going to be in that top.
This is the one here. Oh, God, I can't even get it over to you. It's heavy. Here, ready? I'll work with you. There you go.
Holy cow, that's a great
There's
book.
a ribbon right there. If you pull the ribbon up, it'll pull the book up. There you go. So the glass is the front. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, so they'll get them in albums. So one of the things that I offer for these clients specifically, well, like I said, I give them a package pricing, is they can get we'll say like an 8x8 or 10x10 album of their boudoir pictures that their kids could come across, and it would not be life-changing for their children. We're not going to be paying for psychologists here or whatever, therapy. And then I give them a smaller album or a separate album that is like their naughty album. So that is one of the options I offer them. And so they can have their naughty album and keep it more hidden.
Yeah. This is the kind of style that I like, this one, like overhead.
Yes.
One in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
When I've done my shoots, I take a super duper duper extra. I don't even know what the right term for it is. Everything that I ask, I think about it a ton, because I don't want there to be any miscommunication or misunderstanding mostly.
Okay.
And when I've done mine, I've encouraged them to bring someone.
Okay.
So I've had a few that I've
Which
done
is really
where
good.
they bring their boyfriends, and one of them was annoying because they're about an hour. Mine are about an hour, an hour shoot, like just an hour. And then about half an hour in, he's like, "Man, I didn't know this was going to take this long. Let's hurry up. Let's hurry up." And she was starting to feel pressured, and it kind of went downhill. But
so yeah, I have people that.
Beautiful.
Thank you. I have clients that will ask if they can bring a friend or a boyfriend or something like that. And they're like, look, they're not going to participate. They're just there for moral support. And I'm like, your friends are welcome as long as they are positive in that environment. If they're not, I will ask them to leave. And
keep quiet.
They can talk all they want. We laugh. We talk. Oh my gosh, we laugh so much in the studio, and we dance. We got music playing. Like, their friends can have a drink with us or whatever. We just have.
Or I should say, don't direct.
Yes. Now, I will say, I've had a few times where people, they're like, well, what about this? And I'm like, I hadn't thought of that. Or that, you're right, that would look really good. Or they'd be like, what, like this angle right here? Because, like they're sitting over there and I'm where you are and she's here. I'm taking a picture of her here. And she's like, well, but it looks really good from over here. And I walk over there and I'm like, I wouldn't have moved there otherwise. Yeah. So I don't mind. I guess, I don't know. I'm a big people person anyway, but so I don't mind when they do it as long as it's not nonstop or, of course we have the rule of like, they can take a few behind the scenes pictures, but they're not going to be over my shoulder taking pictures with me. Like that's not okay, but
especially if it's during,
now I tell them that their friends can't take any pictures unless usually like if I know them. So like I've had a lot of clients who have brought in their friends or, things like that. And so, they'll be like, hey, do you want me to get some behind the scenes pictures? And I'm like, yeah, I would love that. Thank you. Like the one that you were looking at from above. Her name's Ava. And so she's come in for a couple of shoots and she'll do like behind the scenes pictures, during the process for me or things like that. So of course I don't mind that at all because then I have pictures of me doing work and I can use on my social media. So.
Right. No, that's fair. I mean, that's all. I mean, when I went to your website and saw the stuff that you did, I'm like, man, this stuff is so good.
Thank you.
And I thought, yeah, let's see if she'll want to come over. About 10 years ago or so, I was super into the photography educator era.
Yeah.
Well, are you familiar with Creative Live?
Yeah.
So they're here.
Oh, okay.
They're Chase Jarvis.
Okay.
His Creative Live studio was here, and I was on one of their shows, and it was with a photography business advisor named Skip Cohen.
Okay.
And it was a whole lot of fun. We got to talk about the business side of photography and how to, it's what was the catchphrase? It's like when to quit your job and go pro, or one of those things.
Yeah.
And then they just had a bunch of photographers on, and are they around anymore?
I don't even know.
I think they moved to San Francisco at the wrong time.
Oh.
And all of these masterclass type of businesses popped up, and I haven't heard anything, but I still have a bunch of videos of a lot of their educators, and it was so much. And everyone was selling something.
It's still like that.
Is it?
Absolutely. I will say I've bought some, and there are some that I was almost there. I was going to buy it, but it was so much money, and I was just starting out, and I was like, so anybody can buy the education and not implement it, and then you just spend a bunch of money. If you implement it, will it work for you? Probably. I mean, some parts of it will definitely work for you. You may have to, change it for yourself. But for me, when I was starting, I followed all those people. I, went to their groups on Facebook and things like that. And I, saw what people were writing, and I read it and I absorbed it, and I was like, okay, I'm not going to do that. Okay, I am going to do this. Okay, this is smart. I need to remember this, and I bookmarked things and I looked everything up. And so I learned a lot of the things that they do without ever actually having to take the classes.
Right.
But again, I was a stay-at-home mom. I had the time to do that. I wasn't, working a 40-hour-a-week job and then trying to do this on my side. This was what I was doing. And
I have so much. I have so many of those DVDs. I have the books.
Yeah.
I bought all of that stuff, and a lot of the DVDs I don't think I've opened.
Yeah, there's some really amazing ones. There's an erotic photographer group that I follow, and she sells some education on the side. Now, like that, one of the things actually, going back to that, she's huge on 2257 compliance. Are you even familiar with what that is?
No.
Okay, so the 2257 compliance is if you're shooting anything that is erotic in any way, shape, or form, even somebody eating a strawberry, you have to get because that's considered sexual, I guess, or if they're topless, or if they're in bondage gear or anything like that, you have to get 2257 compliance, which is getting a copy of their ID, making sure that they are legally 18 years old, and make sure they are consenting. And anywhere they are sharing, you have to have all their websites written down of anywhere that they plan on sharing any of the work, as well as yourself. So, and you have to keep a copy of that ID and all of that information for 7 years. So, yeah. So that's another thing that I also have to do, especially for the erotic shoots. But
and is that federal? Is that it's a federal thing?
It is.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yep, that's okay. A lot of photographers don't, but that's one of the education groups that I follow and that I learned this from.
I mean, I have a release, but I didn't take pictures of IDs. I didn't do that.
Yeah. So, you're supposed to have a copy of their ID and all of that for so long, and and it has to be done before the shoot, not after. It's not something you can do after.
Mm-hmm. That's nuts.
Because if not, I could get flagged for making porn.
Right.
That's what it is ultimately. So
they're probably trying to protect underage.
Yes. It's exactly what it is.
Yeah. So. Which I guess that's okay.
Yeah.
Right.
I've had a few people in my studio that I was like, "Are you look really young. You said you were 21," and I'm like, so I'll get a copy of their ID just to be sure and make sure I'm safe regardless, because I'm not shooting a 17-year-old in any kind of position like that. I'm not going to put myself in that position.
Right.
So
that's scary. What is the weirdest, if you can say, Like the most that you hesitated but still went okay?
What, for photo shoots?
Yeah.
I don't know that I've had any necessarily weird ones. To me, they're all so different and fun and adventurous. I'm trying to think of any specifically weird ones. I've done, burn the dress. I've done thruples. I've done, of course, any gender of couples, and I don't mind any of those things. And I'm trying to think if there was anything specifically weird. Recently, I've gotten a bunch more requests for, and I'm not sure if I'm on some website somewhere or what, but all of a sudden, like, I've been getting all these requests for cross-dressers, which is fine, trans, which is fine. I don't have any issues with that. But now all of a sudden they want to do like an erotic with that. So they want like them getting themselves off with toys up their things like that. And I'm like, okay.
Do you think they want those for like OnlyFans content?
I don't know. Or if they just want it for themselves or for their vet life. And that's fine. I don't think I have an issue with it. I just have not photographed that specifically.
Oh, speaking of OnlyFans, have you worked with, what do you call someone who is on OnlyFans?
Sex workers?
Is that what they're called?
Yeah. I mean, ultimately.
Models, are they models?
I don't know. So with people who have OnlyFans pages, yes, I have several. One of my friends, she has an OnlyFans page. So she's in the top 1% of all of OnlyFans.
Holy
so
moly.
she makes $400,000 a year off of her OnlyFans. And I've done a lot of content with her. Now, we actually kind of hang out on the side. We have children about the same age. And so we'll hang out and the kids will play and we'll go do photos real quick and just concept shoots. Like if I'm like, hey, I want to play with, with a black light, let's play with a black light. Like, just so I have a model, I have a body there to play with because she's really good at, at doing that. I have a picture of her here. I'll show you.
So how do you price those?
It kind of depends on, I guess, what the situation is, but usually it's just people coming in to do a normal photo shoot and then they're like, hey, can I, share this on OnlyFans, which of course is on my contract, that they cannot. And so I have a special release for that. That's the one I'm talking about. So you see why she's easy to work with. She's really easy to work with.
And this is your studio?
Mm-hmm.
Holy moly.
Yeah.
That is gorgeous.
So yeah, and then I have other girls that come in. I have a guy that actually does OnlyFans too. He's also in the like top 4% or something like that. And I did a big photo shoot for him as well. And we just, I guess, depending on, like I said, the situation, I couldn't even tell you the pricing on everything because they're.
But I mean, is like when you do that, it's just
I want to do it
pricing.
I want to do a dedicated OnlyFans price list, but I'm really stuck on where to put it because I see some photographers that do it where they're like, oh, just, $2,500 a month and you get X amount. And I'm like, who is $2,500 extra a month, especially if they're doing OnlyFans? It's usually because they need extra money, not because they already are making $400,000 a year. I'm like, so what about the ones that are just starting out, but they want some good professional content? Like, do I charge like $300 and you get like 10 photos? But then that's not fair to my other clients who are, spending much more than that, and I'm like, so I really struggle with what to do with it for myself.
Kind of seems it needs to be tied to how much she's making.
Yeah, but is that fair? Either like how, like, okay, hey, what's your percentage on OnlyFans? Show me your OnlyFans. Like, what are we gonna do? Like, 'cause they might be like, oh, I just started out. Maybe they're making $100,000 a year. I don't know.
It seems like a fair way.
Or would it be more along the lines of how much content do they get? How much of my time do they get? Because that's, yeah, it's hard. It's hard to decide what to do with pricing on those. But anyway, so I have other girls that have come in who either have an established OnlyFans or who want to do an OnlyFans. And so we kind of talk about, what are you going to charge for your subscription prices? What kind of content are you wanting to provide? What do you want from my content? Like, do you want just this one photo shoot, or do you want to come back and do like a digital only type photo shoot just for this, type of thing? And so we kind of talk about it in there and we come up with pricing together sometimes on that kind of situation. So
yeah, I can see how that could be tough because I don't know. That is a tough one.
It is because if I was to give someone 50 photos, we'll say, like 50 of their digital images, now granted, not the albums and all that kind of stuff like that. Still, my 50 digital image package price is $6,500.
Yeah.
But you're asking me to do it for $500, or $600. So it's like $10 an image. So I'm working for free. I wouldn't provide hair and makeup with that or things like that. But still, I might be providing lingerie. I'm going to be providing food and snacks and that kind of stuff like that. So it's still the same costs on my end for the most part.
See, that's why if it were based off of how much she's making, it would be you investing in her.
Yeah.
Which that's what I'm saying. Like, that seems fair. Like, this is my normal price. I will do it for this much in hopes that what I make for you will
increase your
revenue.
Yeah.
So when you do well, I do well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good old American way.
See? Right? I'll have to talk to them about that. My friend Christine might be like, excuse me?
Like, let's hope you get, $500K a month.
Right? Wouldn't that be awesome?
I'll be right there with you.
I'll be right there with you. I'll take every picture for you. All of them. I'm moving in too, by the way.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I'll photograph your whole day. They'll love me.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you so much for coming. I think I love the fact that the first half of this was how photography and business.
Yeah.
And that it's not just taking a picture. It's not just editing. So all of those things have to be considered when we say, "Oh, my price is X amount." It's like we're a business. We're still providing a service, and
for all those people who are wanting to start a photography business, it's great. You got to start somewhere, but you have to realize there's a lot more to it. And
we didn't even talk. Did you make the mistake of gear acquisition syndrome when you first started?
I did not.
You did? Oh, I did.
I need more, actually.
I'm
looking at getting a new camera right now because mine's probably getting at the end of its like shutter life.
What is it?
That's a Canon.
Which one?
EOS R. So it's mirrorless.
Oh.
So I had a Nikon, which I bought used from someone years ago, and I loved it, and it was great. But when I was looking into getting a new camera, when I was kind of starting this whole thing out, I was like, "Ooh, what do I want to get? Like, what's going to be good?" And so I did a bunch of research, and everyone was saying, "Okay, mirrorless." And so I was like, "Oh, I'll go with this one." And I love it. It's a great camera, so I'm going to stick with Canon because now I have lenses and everything else to go with it. But yeah, now I have to decide what I want for the second body. What do I want to do now?
We didn't even geek out on gear.
I know.
You know what? Let's geek out on gear in a bit. I started with a Canon 6D.
Okay.
So full frame.
Yeah.
And then my buddy convinced me to go to Panasonic.
Okay.
So I went to the GH2, GH3.
You have a lot of cameras
and the GH4. And then I started doing more video. And the low light performance of the micro four thirds lenses just isn't great.
Okay.
So I switched to the Sony A7SR3.
That's one that I was looking at too.
They had the 4s out now.
Okay.
But that one, so I went back to full frame, but I mostly do video. And that right there is at over 2000 ISO at 2.8. And my 4K image is going to look pretty cool.
That's awesome.
And the Panasonic wouldn't have been able to do that. I used to have a 2-camera setup, and the one image looked really nice, and then the other image just looked like crap.
Oh.
So I'm digging the Sony, and I need a better like 50. I need a better nifty 50. But when I first started, I bought everything.
Yeah.
I
didn't have the money to.
Neither did I, but I bought it anyway. I have 4 studio lights. I have a bunch of speed lights. I have all kinds of reflectors, modifiers.
You know what's funny? I shoot with a ring light.
Do you?
That's it. I also have, so my ceilings in my studio are 7 feet tall. I'm 6'3". So for me to have the speed lights and things like that all around, it's just...
No room.
There's no room. There's no room to move them around. I was like, you know what? This works for me, and it works for my studio.
So this place must seem super claustrophobic.
It's perfect for me. No, it's just like my studio.
I wish I had more. I mean, obviously, everyone wishes they had more room. But I can do 3/4 body in here pretty easily.
Yeah.
The only thing that I did realize is that I shouldn't have put carpet on that side, because if I did want to do a full body and they're stepping on the paper,
Oh, yeah.
it won't work.
You can put down a fake floor.
Yeah,
I put a fake floor on the top of my carpet.
Yeah, that's what I think I'm gonna do.
Yeah, just build like a little mini stage.
Yeah.
Ultimately,
some plywood. Mm-hmm. I won't make it fancy.
No, you don't have to make it fancy. You literally can just throw plywood on there. And
yeah, but most of all of that stuff is film cameras. I'm one of those weirdos.
That's cool though. I see all the film hanging there. So.
Yeah, I've had I take rolls to Panda on downtown Seattle, and I went and picked up all those that I had. And you know what? All of those pictures suck.
Oh no, that's hard. That's hard. That hurts a little bit.
That's $120 worth of film processing, and it all sucks.
Aww.
But yeah, I love using film. I have tons of film cameras. Oh man, yeah, we should have geeked out way earlier.
Right.
One of the super things that I'm into is instant, and that cooler right there.
I see
is full of how much of a camera. Well, okay, you're not so much of a camera dork.
I'm not, but that's okay. I'm enjoying listening to you talk about it.
That I have about 60 packets of the Fuji FB 1000B and FB 100C.
Okay.
Which was discontinued about 5 years ago.
Okay.
On eBay, one of those packs is going for about $175.
Oh my gosh. So in other words, you have a safe over there. Got it.
And it's like, you know what? We should probably... All right, let's stop this. We'll talk about that. We should probably do... Ooh, that would be an interesting idea.
What's that?
To offer an instant option.
Yeah. I don't even know like how that would all work. That would be cool though.
People dig it.
Oh, I bet.
So what I like to do is, you know what? I've taken thousands of instant photos, and I've traveled all over. My wife and I love to travel, and I used to have a job that I traveled a ton, and I would take my old land Polaroid cameras from the 50s, and it still worked just great. And then I would take pictures of people on the street or at restaurants, and I would give it to them.
Oh, that would be cool.
So I have thousands of pictures that are out there in the wilderness.
Yeah.
Because I've only kept a very small amount.
Yeah.
So I love doing that. That's so much fun. When you take a picture and then you pull it out, super old timey, and then you hand it to them. And then
they get to shake it like a Polaroid picture.
They get to shake it. But there was this semi-famous street photographer in New York who had that camera up there, that super old timey one with the bellows.
Yeah, I see it.
And then he had a flash on there, and then he would walk around downtown New York and take pictures and would charge $25 a picture. But, that was a long time ago. I think he died. But that was a long time ago. So I did that too once I put my camera outside of Key Arena after a graduation.
Oh, okay.
And then I'm like, hey, do you want a picture? And I only charged $10.
But still, that would be really cool.
Yeah, I sold about 20 pictures in 2.5 hours. It wasn't too bad. It was fun. But I'm keeping all of that film because I don't know what to do with it. Like, this is literally the last of this film.
Yeah.
And I think it needs to be used for something meaningful.
Yeah.
I just don't know what it is.
Well, you have to think about that. Let's see. I don't know. We'll have to figure something out.
And I use that speed graphic, and then I have the Andy Warhol big shot Polaroid.
Okay.
Yeah, I can nerd out. All right, we're done. All right, everyone. Thank you. Thank you, Ericka. And tell us where to find you, your social
Strawberry Boudoir Photography.com. And I'm also on TikTok. I think it's Barry's Booty Babes or something like that. Yeah. But you can find that link, I think, on my Facebook or on my website.
The website is fantastic.
Thank you.
You did a great job. It gives you warnings.
It does give you warnings. Pineapple, pineapple, pineapple.
And then it makes sure that you still want to continue. I thought that was super clever.
Yeah.
So check her out, follow her. And if anyone is interested in some just fantastic art pieces, really,
Yes.
of you as a lovely couple, or as you for your wife or your husband or girlfriend, boyfriend, definitely give her, send her a message. And then don't forget the sponsors, Rancho Bravo Tacos. They're super good. I'm hungry. I'm going to head there in a little bit. And who else did I say?
What? For what?
For the sponsors. I think that was it. I forgot to mention my sneakers friend. I started a sneaker cleaner business. Mm-hmm. So if you have sneakers that you just want to prolong the life of, they don't necessarily have to be super fancy sneakers, but I have a buddy who only spends $100 a year on shoes, on sneakers, and
that's not much.
That's not a whole lot. That's definitely not a lot. But he's been keeping them clean, and then he could probably extend that to $100 every 18 months.
Nice.
Boom. And that'll do. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Adios.